Hello there. I'm back again, messing with my Tenjyou Mejiro Nagura. And what I'm going to do now is I just want to see what these will do, that and the Tomo, these and the Tomo. If I do my very best to take everything else out of the equation, and I have a black Arkansas here. They are stupid hard. So these stones, even the Tomo, when I rub it across this Arkansas, any slurry that I make will be coming from these stones. It's not going to make a slurry from the particles this arcer is made up of. So it'll tell me a lot, I think, or I hope, about these stones. Particularly when I shave with them. Now I have a razor. This is the Artist. It's a Hamburg ground blade, but I cannot remember. I've got some spine with it because it came with it. And I cannot remember whether when I honed this razor, I honed with a layer of tape or I didn't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this marker. Well, maybe I need to go get a different marker. Excuse me a minute. That marker's kaput. Try this. And it's no big deal. This marker will come off with a bit of rubbing alcohol. But I'm going to take this marker. This is a shave ready edge. It won't be once I start hitting it with the glue. But I've got this edge marked, and what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to add a little bit of water to my black, and I'm going to make about that many passes. Now I'm going to look at that edge. And it requires some tape. What I have is a situation where the black is removed at the top of the bevel, but at the very edge, it's still there. So what that's telling me is that the angle this razor was honed at was more acute than the angle that we're looking at now, which means I had a layer of tape on it. Let me get some alcohol, because I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that, since I know now I'm going to fall and bust my neck, break my neck, because the stool is sliding all over the place on the bathroom floor. But anyway, I know, see, going, I know it requires tape now, so we're going to put a little bit of tape on it. And I should have done this off camera. I apologize for taking up time with something other than honing, but I think you You know, I think there's good information there about figuring out whether it was honed with tape or without tape. I mean, that's, you know, you get that question all the time. How do I know whether a razor was honed with tape or not? Well, there's your answer right there. It's that simple and that easy. So maybe there's a method to the madness, but I'm going to take the Tenjyou. See if I can raise a slurry in this Arkansas with it. Lovely. And I want a fairly healthy one to start with. And I can see right now that there's a problem getting the slurry to stay on this stone for some reason. But that's alright. I'll build a little more slurry if I have to. It's undercutting well on this side until you get to the tip. It's only starting to undercut from here up, but it goes almost completely to the tip on that side. So we'll press on a little bit, see if things change. If they don't, I'll take measures to correct it where I see fit anyway. Okay, this side is now undercutting all the way to the tip. So it only took a bit for the razor to find its path in that slurry. Because I think what happens is when you put, and I don't know, I'm just guessing from my experience, a little bit of experience that I've got with slurry in general. But I've noticed a lot of times when you use a slurry that if you, particularly like when I work a cuticle or I work the J-knot with the Tomo or with DMT card, trying to talk and can't. The razor will start out and it won't undercut all the way evenly. And I'm talking about a razor that already has a bevel established. There's no geometry issues, anything of that nature. But I mean, you can see it now. It's not quite undercutting because I put fresh slurry on there, and I don't know if you want to call it particle size or whatever, but the slurry's coarser. And so I think a combination of the slurry breaking down, a combination of the razor kind of finding its way, because that's essentially a new surface. And so that's why it does that, I think. And one of the things I've gotten conscious of, I don't know if it matters or not, but a lot of times I'll put my thumb, and I'm not really pressing down. I'm just kind of using it as a balance point. But if you look, on a 3-inch wide stone, that wouldn't be a problem. But if you look, I mean, my thumb is hanging out here in space, the tip of the razor is hanging out here in space, and these razors flex. I don't, even a wedge will. So I've taken to putting my thumb like where I know there's stone under it, so that slight pressure won't deflect the end of the blade hanging out here in La La Land. And like I say, I'm just using it to balance. I'm not putting any pressure on it. But you always need to be conscious that a straight razor's edge does flex. It flexes. And be aware of that, because you don't want to, if you're like me and you use a lot of narrow stones, I actually like the narrow stones, then you want to be conscious of that and understand that, there's a possibility of that. And watch your technique. Modify it however you need to get the job done in the right way. Beautiful. I'm going to go just a bit longer. You gotta watch this stone because it is hard. If you make a mistake in how you present this razor to this stone, it will show no mercy to that edge. And we're gonna rinse off that razor. It's lovely. That's lovely. Just absolutely lovely. And move to the Mejiro. I really want more slurry than that. So let's actually put too much water on the stone. So anyway, I can feel the heel as my finger kind of rubs against it. I can feel it getting sharper and sharper and sharper. I like that. But I gotta watch that. My father-in-law's Boker does that, and it usually, I don't know if it was because it was my father-in-law's or not, uh, but it usually draws blood before the honing session. I don't think I've ever honed that blade in the last couple of years that it hasn't drawn blood from that finger right there or this thumb. One of the two. So you gotta watch things like that, but you know, when my finger rubs against that and I can feel that edge getting sharper and sharper and sharper, it excites me. I like to feel that. That's awesome. And I think if I remember, this old soldier liked a little bit of lift at the tip. And some of these old razors, you know what, you can grind all over this spine and do all kinds of things to make the razor fall in line with what you think it should, to correct geometry and all kind of jazz like that. But these old boys, they've been treated a certain way in life. And I've found that a lot of times, if it's just something simple like lifting up the heel a little bit as you come to the toe, it's better just to let them have their way. It's easier on the razor, and it's easier on you. Now, if you've got one of those razors that the tip has been absolutely destroyed doing that, there are razors out there that some guy got really overzealous with lifting the heel of a razor, and they just really screwed up the tip of that razor. Well, you know, there's a lot to be said for retiring a razor like that. You can grind at the spine, and you can grind around in here. You can do whatever you think you have to fix that, but you really just, in my opinion, if it's really bad, the razor's never going to be what you want it to be. It never really is. The best thing to do is either keep going the way it's been going until the razor ends its useful life, or retire the thing. They don't all have to be beautiful, pristine, and even the razors that I restore, some of them I just take what the razor gives me. If I go to restore that razor with buffing compound, sandpaper, and I'm talking about mothers when I say buffing compound, I'm not talking about putting a razor on a wheel, a cloth wheel, whether it's a buffer or a grinder somebody put wheels on, cloth wheels on, whatnot, and using the Menzona type compounds to grind the living snot out of the steel I'm talking about hand sanding the thing and finishing on with mothers. There are some razors out there that I have in my collection that are old razors, but they were treated so well that all it really required was a little bit of mothers and about a half hour or 45 minutes, and things look like they're brand new, almost. So there's those kind of razors, and then I have razors that have pits in the blade, not on the edge, but pits in the blade, and uh, what they call devil's spit, which is like almost looks like there's a glaze on the steel. That ain't coming out unless you take a lot of steel off of it. And, some darkening of the steel that you'd have to grind the snot out of to get it out of it. That kind of deal. And I'm okay with that kind of stuff being on the razor after I get done restoring it, because they're old razors. Wow. There ain't a thing wrong with an old razor looking like an old razor, so I don't obsess over that. Now, if you're one of these guys that has to have pristine, I'm going to Tomo. Razors, you have to buy smart and buy wisely and pay for it, and there are guys out there that know how to make them beautiful again. But even those guys, there are some razors you're going to hand them that it's not going to look like it came off the factory floor. It's just not going to look like that, no matter what the guy does to it. If it's my razor, I would tell the guy to restore it with respect to what it is and how it lived. And don't take away what I consider its grace. That's just my opinion on them. I think a well-used razor that shows its age can be just as beautiful or even more beautiful than one that came off the Dovo or Ralph Oster or whatever factory floor today with 300-pound of gold leaf on it and wonderful etching, and that's beautiful too. One of Maestro Livy's really fine creations or something like that, that's beautiful too. I'm not knocking it, but vintage, there's beauty in the miles traveled, the faces shaved, the places traveled. And I think, just from what I'm feeling under my thumb pad, that the edge on this blade is really nicely refined. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but when I've been working this, there's always been, always lost most of the slurry that was built up on the edge of the stone, but it's always kept a small amount, and you don't need 3,000 pounds of slurry on there. You just need enough to do what it is you're trying to do. I'm gonna refresh this slurry just a bit. Get that Tomo out of the way. Lovely. Stone's got a bit of suction on it, but the slurry feels wonderfully silky smooth, which tells me I believe that it's already broken down quite a bit. And I probably won't get an awful lot more out of it. So as a final step, and I would do this sometimes with the J-Net, sometimes I wouldn't. But with this Arkansas Black, it's stupid not to. They're just fantastic. I'm going to go to plain water and very light laps to finish. All right. With an Arkansas Black, you need at least a couple of hundred laps to finish one on one, and that's like a minimum. Wow, lovely sharp edge keeps me. I was running my thumb along the edge of this blade. I'm not gonna film that. I mean, all it is the same thing I'm doing now. I got 65 laps in, so 135 more laps. 235, I'll do 200, 300 laps on this stone. And then lovely, strop and test. But alright, the edge that I'm feeling on this blade right now is so absolutely keen underneath my thumb pad that I really can't see any way that this is going to be a bad shape. Thanks for joining me. God bless you. And I will talk to you later.